Welcome back, Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, classics last non-classic. This is episode number 386 and Doubleshot number 310. Okay? Two DC trades, and both of them contain issues that were published in the 1990s. Around the early to mid-90s-ish, just to give a good range. First up is Supergirl Book 2, which contains issues Supergirl Volume 4, number 10 through 20, and number 2. I should point out that number 2 is the last annual that this series ever published. No, I'm not joking. This was the last annual the series published. Because that was the one thing really weird though. And number 2 was a tie-in to the Pulp Hero stuff. About half the annuals that tied into that they were usually the last ones published. This was of course years before they did the Planet 2000 stuff. Now, all but one issue in here is written by Peter David. Yeah, for some reason, I have no idea why. Darren Benicio, I think he does issue 13. For some reason, he comes on as a guest writer. I have no idea why. Tom Payer and Chuck Dixon do the annual. Chuck Dixon also did the previous annual as well. This just continues the adventures of the Linda Danvers Supergirl. The Supergirl of the 1980s, also known as the Matrix Supergirl. And she fights Despero, Silver Banshee, who've gone through several different hosts. I should point out though, this was the first DC comic to feature Despero, and no appearance by Martian Manhunter. Yeah, this is actually one of 3 comics I have ever read where you have Despero appear, and there's no Martian Manhunter, no reference to him, nothing. The only other comics that I actually read that actually did this, one was Rebels, Tony Bedard volume, which is an awesome volume. I highly recommend you check it out. And DC, please give that series a new trade. Tony Bedard really could use new trades for that thing. He agrees with me on that. I think you should use trades. The other one was the Recent Death of Hawkman series by Mark Andrego. Awesome comic book. This is also awesome as well. Yeah, so aside from fighting Despero and Silver Banshee, I think that's really it. Mostly, it's just very continuous, the series. The series did go through a few different artists. You have Leonard Kirk, who does the majority of the artwork in here. Anthony Castorello, and this is one basically I'm like, really? This guy? Greg Land. And surprisingly, no tracing. No tracing, no sexual poses, nothing. I was shocked to see this. I mean, come on. Greg Land. A guy known for doing all of his smiling or putting women in sexual poses, even though or as one person put it, basically he draws a female superhero like it's basically it's a porn star wearing a porn star wearing dressed up as a superhero. Let's see if I can find it here. Let's see. I know I saw Landon here. I'm not sure what issue he does. I have to look it up here. Let's see here. Leonard Kirk, I should point out, he takes over for Gary Frank as the new artist for the book. Yeah, he does the majority of the issues in here, which he is a really dang good artist. Here's some sample artwork by him. This is great. Yeah, this is actually really good artwork. Let's see. Where are you, Mr. Land? Okay, here we go. Here's some Greg Land artwork from the 1990s. It's not too bad, per se. But yeah, you almost get an upskirt shot of Supergirl. And good thing is you don't see her underwear. Thank you, Greg Land, for not doing that. Yep. Oh, I should also point out, though, this is actually one of the various hosts Silver Banshee. Yeah, this is something really weird Silver Banshee was doing in the 90s. She kept jumping hosts, not just the original host, Saba. How do you pronounce her name? She's Irish and she's smoking hot. Let's see. Okay, it's Saba Magal, and she's mentioning she's from Rich Clan. Now, I think she's a creation of John Byrne. Don't quote me on that. She made her first appearance in Action Comics. I think it was issue 995, 595, I believe it was. I believe that was her first appearance. And this is actually one of her several appearances. This is actually one of the very few comics that she appears in where it's not a comic that features Superman himself. Basically, she appears in Supergirl. So, yeah, she appeared for several issues in here, and she also appeared in the Kira Zero volume, which followed after this one. This is really good. Surprisingly, especially for Greg Land, for him not having the character smile or having frequent close-ups of people's faces, we can see their, like, I don't know, pores, something like that. It's really bizarre of how he does his artwork, but this is before he does his tracing, which is nice. Surprisingly, even with a book with Greg Land artwork, I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. It's purely amazing. Alright, next up is Wonder Woman and Justice League America. Yeah, this replaces the Superman and Justice League America after publishing 2 books. Reason? Because they removed Superman. Because Superman was only added to the book because Dan Jurgens was basically the writer who was also doing Superman at that point. Of course, Superman's off the book and he doesn't come back to the book. As far as I know, he doesn't get back to Justice League until the book was relaunched by Grant Morrison in 1987. Of course, these issues came out in 1993 to 1994. This contains issues of Justice League America, issues 78 to 85, Guy Gardner 15, and Justice League America Annual number 7. Now, all the issues of Justice League America, that's written by Dan Vado. Yeah, he takes over for Dan Jurgens, starting with issue 78. I think he stays around issue 92-ish. I'm not sure exactly when he leaves, but he does all the regular issues in here of that. The Guy Gardner issue is done by Chuck Dixon, who actually had taken over the Guy Gardner book. Originally it was done by Gerald Jones for the first 10 issues, and then it was taken over by Chuck Dixon with issue 11, and stayed with the book even after the book was renamed to Guy Gardner Warrior with issue 17, and he left after issue 20. Yeah. So he stayed out for 10 issues, and he had a few different writers after that who did the Guy Gardner book. But the only reason the Guy Gardner book is in here because it does a brief crossover just like America, because Guy is acting really weird and he kills someone. Now, one of the villains they fight in here, I should point out though, when the book starts out, not everybody in this cover is on the roster. It's just Wonder Woman, Guy, the Ray, and Maxima, along with Broodwing. That's him on the back, right there. That's him. That's Broodwing. They fight the Extremist group, or excuse me, the New Extremists, which is the same group that Justice League America and Stephen Land Justice League America Volume 5 fought in their first arc of the series. Yeah, so I don't know why they did that for. Booster Gold comes in a little bit afterwards. He gets his new outfit about 5 issues in. About partway through the volume, he actually gets his new outfit built by Booster. By Ted Cord, and he has his outfit for a few years until he shows the pages of Superman, because of course Dan Jurgens was writing the book, so he includes Booster Gold whenever he feels like it. So he came back basically a duplicate of his original costume. So my guess is the reason why Dan Jurgens did that, because I do have a personal theory about it, because he probably didn't care for this costume. That's my personal guess of why he changed it back to the classic look. Yeah, he probably didn't care for this look. This is why I'm like, yes, this is Booster Gold. He basically comes back in issue 80. Back exactly 2 issues, about 3 issues into this guy's run, he basically comes back to the group. Those of you curious of why Guy Gardner looks like this instead of basically in his classic Green Lantern garb. It was written in sort of a backdoor pilot to his series when Gerald Jones was writing the Green Lantern book, that apparently there's only going to be one Green Lantern, and it's Hal Jordan, for some strange reason. Though apparently John Stewart was able to keep his ring, but apparently Guy couldn't keep his for some reason. So Guy was obsessed. This basically was explored in the Guy Gardner Reborn series, where he got his hands on Sinestro's ring. And he got it, get this, Sinestro had been killed in the Green Lantern Corps series when it was written by Steve Englehart. And basically, he went to Sinestro's tomb and took Sinestro's ring off his dead corpse. No joking. He actually did that. He teamed up with Lobo to do this. I'm like, wow. Basically, he went all this way to get Sinestro's ring. Because he really wanted to get a ring so badly because he was obsessed with power. And I'm thinking, of all people for Guy Gardner to team up, teams up with freaking Lobo. And Lobo does this for free. And the guy's a bounty hunter, and yet he wants to do this for free. Yeah. So, he just wears this jacket because he feels like it. I should point out, though, Guy did recently was seen wearing this outfit in the Hal Jordan Green Lantern series when he took off his ring to fire Kilo and beat the living crap out of him. Yep. The Ray, at this point, he had a book, was written by the awesome Christopher Priest. He wrote the second volume of the series, which I think was canceled around this time. At least not long after this run wrapped up. Yeah. I don't know how long he's stayed in the book for, but he's stayed in the book for a little while. Ted Core came back to the group a little bit after Booster came back to the team. Fire to come back to the team to do the annual. But yeah, mostly the lineup is... I mean, the only people who have been there for a long time has just been Booster, Ted, Fire, and Ice. Yeah, these 4 people have been there since like almost the beginning. Though Fire and Ice were not exactly founding members of this incarnation, well, when this run started back in the late 80s, they came on a little bit later. They were actually one of the first recruits when the group went international. Yeah, of course that was when they recruited these 2, along with Red Rocket, who joined Justice League Europe. Of course, Hal himself does guest star in the issue. In one of the issues, and he's got a broken arm. Basically, that happened in the it happened in the Green Lantern book. I should point out though that the blood ties, yeah, that annual this little annual crossover thing, yeah, Chuck Dixon was not a fan of this crossover at all. And no, he did not do this annual. This annual was done by Bill Loebs. Yeah, Bill Loebs did this annual. Yeah, this is the annual cover right here. Bill Loebs did this annual, and according to Dixon, he actually did not like this crossover at all. The biggest reason was because all these new characters had the same exact origin story. An alien bit them, an alien bug bites them, they get these strange powers. And here's the strange thing. Almost everybody introduced for the new bloodline, with the exception of Hitman, all disappeared from DC Comics. No, seriously, that's what happened to them. Yeah, and Chuck Dixon explained this to me because I had him sign the Robin and number 2, which he did, and I got the book for a friend of mine who didn't have any books for Chuck Dixon to sign, so I got him a particular book that Chuck Dixon wrote. So I had him sign that, and I sort of explained. I asked him about Blood Ties, what he remembered about it. He just says he didn't like it. He thought it was a terrible idea. And just didn't care for it. And it was this very annual that Fire came back to the roster. But yeah. But all the issues in here are are actually pretty good. Yes. All things considered. The artists in here generally, there's actually a few different artists. You have Kevin West, Greg Larocchi, Mike Collins, and Chris Hunter. Excuse me. Yeah. Those are the ones who does the issue, all the artwork in here. Nothing really bad. Oh yeah, Captain Atom shows up in here as well. That's all at least stuff with Guy Gardner. But yeah, all good. 9 out of 10. Alright, that's it for this episode. Stay tuned for the next episode, which is going to be a triple shot. I have to look it up and see exactly what number it is. But the next episode number is episode number 387. Okay? But until then, I will see you there. Bye.